Good evening. I'm Ed Murrow. The name of the program is Person to Person. It's all live. There's no film. Tonight, we'll be visiting first with Noel Coward here in New York City. The reviewers frequently note that there is only one Noel Coward, and that's too bad. For probably no one has given so much to so many different phases of show business as Noel Coward. Born around Christmas 56 years ago. He's always busy doing something creative, writing, composing, acting, singing, or directing from the other side of the footlights. At the moment, he's rehearsing his TV version of This Happy Breed, to be seen on CBS next Saturday. Even more recently, as a matter of fact, just 2 nights ago, his new play, South Sea Bubble, with Vivian Leigh, opened in London. Noel's home base is Jamaica, considerably nearer America than his native England. When he's in New York, as he is now, of course, he prefers a furnished apartment, one in this building on the east side of town. Evening, Mr. Coward.
Hello, Ed. How are you?
Fine. Any reports from London yet on how the opening went?
Oh, yes, indeed, a lot. I had a very nice telegram from Vivian. You want me to read it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Look at my glasses on. My darling, thought what you would like to know. Play went wonderfully last night. And for box office, read Beehive. Notice is satisfactory, business enormous. Love from us both, Vivian.
Good. Congratulations.
That's comforting.
How's the television show shaping up?
So far, very well indeed. We've been rehearsing for 2 weeks. We've got 1 more week to go.
Well, all of this is a long way from your triumphant debut in something called The Goldfish, wasn't it?
Yes, Ed, it was.
What was it all about?
Well, it was a play for children, and for reasons best known to the author, we were all school children in the first act, and in the second act we were all fish.
And what were you?
I was a mussel. Prince Mussel.
No, for someone who is continually on the go, you seem to stand up remarkably well. You always appear very relaxed.
Well, I think that I am, on the whole, fairly relaxed. I have moments of high tension, but very few.
How do you achieve this relaxation?
Well, I sleep a lot. I'm a great one for a bit of sleep. I sleep 8 hours a night, and whenever I can, I get an hour in the afternoon. And I eat sparingly, drink moderately, smoke much too much.
Tell me, have you found anything special to ease the tensions after a hard day's work?
Certainly, but I have no intention of discussing it in front of several million people.
No, thank you very much. Our audience has just increased.
That's all right.
No, what about hobbies? Or don't you want to discuss that either?
Well, I have one.
Do you paint?
Yes. How did you guess? Yes, I do. Would you like to see one of my
Yes.
pictures? Well, by a curious coincidence, there is one in this very room. Here it is.
How would you describe the style?
Erratic. Actually, it's known by my friends as touch and go-go. But it really represents a Jamaican market scene. They're all coming back from market.
Uh-huh. Did that take you very long to do?
Well, it took me about 2 afternoons, I think. It looks rather like that, doesn't it?
Well, Noel, how come you just happen to have it here if you're permanently settled in Jamaica?
I just happen to have it here because I'm going to give it to a friend, poor beast.
Well, that's a nice side, too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the best, really.
Noel,
Yeah.
what is it about Jamaica that's so appealing to you?
Oh, there are many things about Jamaica that are very appealing to me. First thing is that it's a very peaceful island. It's very beautiful. Has the most wonderful mountains and sea and rich vegetation. It has all the advantages of the tropics without any of the disadvantages. I mean, there are no terrible crawling snakes and wicked insects.
And no telephone?
Oh, no telephone.
Noel, I know that you have a rather high regard for the comforts of life. What's your idea of comfort?
Well, first of all, pleasant surroundings, agreeable people, good books, a comfortable bed, and first-rate plumbing.
Well, what's the most important thing in life to you?
Oh, I think very much the same as everybody else, personal happiness.
Well, what would you say is the worst ailment of the human race today?
Oh, I would say fear.
Just fear in general?
Well, there's so many different sorts of fear. It seems to me that everybody's frightened of something, and I think if only many of those smaller fears could be eliminated, the human race would probably be much happier and far less bent on self-destruction.
Well, any specific complaints with the way the world is treating you or others? No?
No. The world's treated me very well. I think I've treated the world quite politely, too. I think we get on very well together.
No. When you're working, do you have much opportunity to do any serious reading?
Well, when I'm rehearsing, not very much. Generally, when I'm not actually doing a physical job of work like rehearsing or playing, I generally get through about 6, 7 books a week.
What's the most recent book you've read?
Oh, I'll show you. I found it in a bookshop the other day.
How do you pick
up? What?
How do you select a book?
Well, I picked this up on the counter. I read the first page and about in the middle of it, and then a page towards the end, and it looked rather good, and so I bought it. And it was very good. It's called The Man Who Rocked the Boat.
Uh-huh.
And it's all about the racket on the waterfront of New York.
And what are the other books I see there?
Well, I've got a book here by Harold Nicholson called Good Behavior, which is charming,
Very good, yes.
and a modern edition of British poetry, and a book about the 18th century.
And do you have any particular favorite when it comes to poets?
Oh, yes. And by a strange coincidence, here it is.
Place marked?
Curiously enough, yes. Now, don't be frightened, but I like the Victorian poets. I'm very fond of Emily Bronte and Wordsworth and Matthew Arnold. And there's one poem that I particularly love, because for many years I had a house on the very edge of the sea, just under the white cliffs of Dover. And the beginning of this poem, Dover Beach, is this. The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full, the moon lies fair upon the strait. On the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, glimmering and vast, out in a tranquil bay. I used to see that every night, and so that's why I particularly like that poem.
Well, it's certainly easy to understand why you do, too. Noel, on one or two occasions, the quantity and the quality of your own writings have been compared to Shakespeare's. Does this impress you?
Oh, it most certainly does. Whether it would impress Shakespeare or not, I think is quite another question.
You played Las Vegas last year, something Shakespeare didn't do. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it very much. I had that over Shakespeare, but then what he has over me is that he's the greatest genius that the world ever knew.
Well, what impressed you most about Las Vegas?
Oh, I think it's respectability. It's one of the most respectable towns I ever saw. I loved being there. Everybody was very charming to me, but I say respectability because, you know, everybody's so occupied in trying to win money that they have no time for the major vices.
Noel, any place in this country you haven't visited that you'd like to?
Yes, one. Texas.
You'll have invitations in the morning, I'm sure.
Oh, I do hope I can.
Noel, as a gourmet of sorts, what's the least appealing aspect of American cooking?
Lettuce.
Why?
Well, you know, lettuce is really very good in its place, but it's so curious that whenever one orders an ordinary bacon sandwich on it, there's always lettuce and a gherkin with it. And I get sort of tired of lettuce.
Well, what American dish do you enjoy?
A really good southern fried chicken.
Do you have any particular dislikes?
Yes, pumpkin pie.
Why?
I don't know, it's sort of gooey. Don't care for it.
What about our preoccupation with gadgets? What's the best one you've come across?
The telephone that unplugs from the wall.
And the least appealing American gadget?
I think that public address system inside an airplane, so that when you're quietly dozing off, the captain suddenly tells you to go just going over something. That I can't bear.
Just when you're falling asleep?
Just when you're falling asleep.
Noel, do you ever think back on those days in London during the Blitz?
Very often, Ed. We had quite a good time, didn't we? You and I mean.
It was a very interesting time when everything was more important than it is now, don't you think? Each meal was important because it might be your last.
And it seemed to me, too, that my beloved London was gayer then than it's ever been before. It was a extraordinary moment, wasn't it?
Certainly was. The ability of the English to fly into a calm at a time of great crisis.
Well, it's nice to hear you say that, Ed. I think it's true.
Noel, what has impressed you most about America?
Oh, since I first came here in 1921, the thing that has always impressed me about America, and always will, is its quality of generosity.
How do you mean exactly?
Well, I mean that it's a very large country, and it seems to me that it is large in other ways, too. The Americans are generous with their hospitality, they're generous with their praise, they're generous in all directions, and I think that's a very lovable quality to have.
Do you find any real difference between English and American audiences?
No, not really very much, because you see, one finds difference between audiences every night of the week.
Yes.
But a good audience is a good audience, and a bad audience is a bad audience in any language.
How long have you been rehearsing for this television production?
2 weeks. We do it on May the 5th, so we've got another week to go with the cameras.
And you're reasonably confident and happy, are you?
Well, I'm very happy because I'm acting again with a very old friend of mine, Edna Best.
Yes.
Well, years ago, I created the Constant Hints with her. We've been together much in our early lives, and it's lovely being with her again.
Well, Noel, much good luck. Thank you very much for letting us come and visit you. Good night.
Good night, Ed.
Good night. Good luck.